Hello everyone, it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my November coffee chat. If you've never been to one of these videos before, they're really chill. It's just where me and you and our 1,000 best friends hang out and we chat intimately about our writing, our publishing, the things that we've read recently that we've really loved, all of the fun life stuff. We just chat. You know, like gals. We're just girls, you know? How's everyone doing? Are you guys Christmas shopping yet? For all my American pals, have you guys like just been bloated this whole week from Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving leftovers? Because that's been my life. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about writing because I have quite a few things to update you guys on. Well, the first thing I have to talk about is the fact that I got to go on an amazing writing retreat with a bunch of Authortubers right smack dab in the middle of November. And it was fantastic. We all just held up in like a really nice Victorian manor house in the middle of Chillicothe, Ohio, and we all just wrote and talked and played D&D and ate a lot of food and we're so productive. I will link my vlog because I vlogged the entire trip down below. You can check it out if you'd like. I feel like I got so much closer to all the girls. Like they're the type of people that, you know, like I've met once or twice, maybe in different situations, but we've never had like a long time to actually hang out and like really get to know each other. And I really enjoyed it. I feel like I have found lifelong friends. I don't know. It's just, I need a moment. And while I was there, I got so much done. Like so much. So bitter bones. Let's go ahead and talk about this little bad boy. First of all, I was able to completely figure out my restructure of what I needed to do. I got all my feedback from my agent, my critique partner, and my betas, and all of them, not all of them, but most of them were like, hey, there's something funky going on in these 10 chapters. My answer to that, along with the fact that my book right now is 68,000 words, which is really long for middle grade in this economic climate. And my editor was like, hey, we need to get this down. So my answer to that was, okay, let's just like restructure these 10 chapters so I can like make them tighter and smaller, maybe cut some extraneous things while trying to tighten everything down at the same time. And that was really scary, but I figured out the plan of how I was going to do that while I was on the retreat. I go into a lot more depth in my retreat video because I had to basically disassemble my entire mystery outline plot that I had going on because I had all of these reveals and all these things happening, and when I went in there to start cutting stuff and moving stuff around, like pieces were gone. I had to find places to put it back in, and like, you know, the mystery unraveled and I had to reweave it. I would say it is the most time intensive and difficult revision that I have done to date. I've never had to do something this strenuous developmentally, so it was yeah, it was something. I was gonna even say it was stressful, but you know what, I went into it knowing I was gonna get stressed, so I broke everything down into little pieces, and it really wasn't stressful. It was just very time intensive. And then once I got all of that figured out and I came home, I was able to actually start doing those revisions and start trimming. And a little bit of a sneak peek for a December update, I am already 7,000 words down, which is fantastic, which means the book is like at like around 60K right now, which is great. Still need to get smaller. My editor keeps talking about how you really don't want a book much over 50K, if that, because it's just a tough sale right now. It's hard to get schools and libraries on board to buy bigger middle grade books right now because kids just aren't reading them. So I mean, we still got a lot of work to do, but it's coming along. I'm so excited for you guys to get to read this next year. I still don't have a release date yet. I just know it's sometime at the end of 2025, but I'm just getting so excited. I think it's just because my feedback was so exciting. Like, I love watching people fall prey to my plot twists. Moving on to my next book, we have A Grandmother's Guide for High Stakes Adventuring. This is my cozy D&D satire fantasy adult novel. I still don't know how to pitch this thing. Right now I'm still in the first draft, so I'm not even worrying about it. But I was able to get a lot of work done on that on the retreat and since coming home. Right now I am on chapter 4 and I am 7,465 words officially in, so that's pretty cool. She feels like a real book. And because it is a satire, it's kind of hard right now. I've talked about this before, but it's kind of hard right now because so much of this book is going to depend on voice, I think, because it's got to be like goofy silly. And right now, first draft wise, I'm just making sure I've got the like plot and character beats out, so it's not very voicey, and I'm just like, oh, this is bad, like, woo. And I know my main character's voice is really goofy and it's gonna be fun when I get in there. I'm writing the first draft right now in third person past tense, but I kind of feel like since it is so goofy, I almost want to do something more fun. Since it is called Grandmother's Guide and my main character is literally writing her adventures down for her granddaughter in a book, I was like, oh, what if I did it like little snippets of it in second person? Like the whole thing is pretty much in third, but then I could have her as the narrator pop in second person and do some kind of like what I did with The Odds, for those of you that have have read it, there's like the overarching story in third and then the narrator pops in. And that one, it's kind of like more fun because you don't know who the narrator is. And this one you will, but I don't know. To me, I really liked that because that added so much personality and flavor and voice to the story. I kind of almost want to do something like that with Grandmother's Guide, but I'm like, is that going to be my shtick? Is that going to be my gimmick? Like, am I going to be known as the author who just like is like a one-trick pony? So I don't know. I have some time to figure all that out. Right now I just need to get like the characters and plot like out and written so that I have something to make better later on. Anyway, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that. So call in, let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions. I know some people have really strong opinions about second person, but I personally love it when it's done right. Also, I'm open to suggestions. If you have more fun experimental ideas for me that I could write in this book, let's do it. I mean, at this point, it's a funsie project, right? Like, we're writing this together. Any input you want, drop it down below. Oh my God, speaking of the Grandmother's Guide, I almost forgot about this. I don't have it with me, but I will pop up a picture. I went ahead and made my main character, Mimpy Gumblewick. I made her into like a D&D statue figurine. This was so fun. The website I did it on was called Hero Forge. They make like D&D minis so you can have your characters there with you. You can also pay extra to get them a little bit bigger in statue size so you can put them on your bookshelf or wherever. That's what I did. Look how glorious she is. She's so beautiful. This is the closest that I was able to make her look like how I envision her. For the most part, the body and the hair is correct. I do see her crossbow as being like a really tiny handheld crossbow. Like my friends were calling it like a Barbie crossbow because it's like pew pew. So just imagine that one, just like little tiny handheld. And of course her hat would be a little bit more realistic looking honeycomb wise, but it looks really great. It looks so good. I love how she turned out. I just love my little sassy grandma ready to go on her adventures. You know what I mean? Like, so that was all the writing stuff. Let's switch over and let's start talking about some reading. Reading wise, I read 11 books in the month of November and I finally hit my Goodreads goal. My goal was to read 100 books this year and yeah, didn't know if we were gonna get there for real. I read so many more books last year. I think I was at like 158, maybe 138 last year. This year I've just been a lot slower. I have had a lot more hobbies that I have introduced and that are taking away from the reading time. So I mean, it was like September and I was like, oh no, we might not even crack 100 books. But we did it! Woo! I'm trying to think, what was my 100th book? I should look that up. This was it. The Tea Dragon Society. This was my 100th book. And it was a cutesy little graphic novel. How perfect. I want to talk to you quickly about some of my absolute favorites for this month. I read a ton of really great stuff, but there are some standouts that I just want to give a shout out to. The first one being this, okay, bear with me. Okay, I know a lot of you are just gonna be like, oh, whatever. Bear with me. There is this really cute young middle grade series that needs so much more love, you guys. I've mentioned this before, but the Amelia Fang series, it is a 7-book illustrated young middle grade series, and it is the absolute cutest, funniest series. Like, it's one of my new favorite middle grade series of all time, and I finally finished it this month. The books mainly follow these 3 little girls. We have Amelia Fang, who is the daughter of a vampire, her best friend, who is a Yeti, who, it's actually hilarious because she's so big. When she has dialogue on the page, it's in all caps because she's a Yeti. And I mean, when she talks, it's very loud. She has a pet pumpkin named Squishy. She wants to grow up and be a pumpkintologist when she's older. And her other best friend is the son of the Grim Reaper. And they just get up to the most ridiculous shenanigans. When I tell you these books are actually laugh out loud, like I, as a 30-year-old geriatric millennial, laugh so hard when I read these. It's one of those series that kind of feels like Shrek in a way, where it's like tailored toward kids, but for the adults that are watching it, there's some humor that is just gonna go straight over the kid's head and is like perfectly for adults, and I love that type of middle grade. They're absolutely fantastic and they're so underrated. These are published by a UK publisher, so to get these you do have to order them on Amazon. As far as I know, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, places like that won't have them, but you can get them on Amazon super cheap. They're so good. I feel like if you have a young middle grade reader, especially one who's like transitioning and still needs a lot of illustrations in their books, like these are perfect for them. I finished this, I love it. Like, such a great series. Okay, completely switching gears. Let's talk about King of the Wild. This is an adult high fantasy book that was pretty much perfectly tailored to me. It's set for fans of D&D, and it's about a bunch of old men who at one point were part of the best mercenary adventuring party, and then they got old and they retired, and then one of their daughters needs aid. And so the band gets back together one more time, and yeah, it's just about all of these old, grumpy, sore kerflunkily drunk old men trying to get their lives together enough to go help their best friend's daughter. The thing about this book series is it is very much so like I feel like I'm gonna lose some of you, and that's okay. It is very much so written for dads, by a dad, for dads. The dad humor in this book is like high, like top level, okay? This isn't gonna work for everybody. However, dad humor is my humor, and father-daughter relationships are kind of like the most precious sweet spot for me, like right after grandparent relationships. The male relationships I thought were so like beautiful, like it's just a bunch of like burly men who are emotionally constipated that love each other and are trying to find a way to convey to their friend that they love them, and it's just beautiful. There's a really like interesting romance that I would almost like be like, ooh, I want that to have its own story that's in here, and like that's really fun. The adventure is top tier. I really like the humor. There's this band of like female bandits that continue to capture the main group over and over and over again, like they just can't evade them, and that there's like a bond that grows between them, and that is just like so funny. And I ended up crying in the end because it was just heartfelt and beautiful, and I really loved it. There is a companion series that follows the daughter that they're going to save. She has her own book of adventures, and so I will be picking that up at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Kind of a tough recommendation for some people. I don't think, like I said, it's not gonna work for everybody, but worked for me. And the last thing that I want to talk about is a YA paranormal fantasy, and that is Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. So this is like a female rage witchy book that's set in present day England. It follows three girls: a witch from a coven who was massacred, a girl whose sister has just died after she got into the occult, and the third is a girl who is corrupting from the inside out because she made a bad bargain with a demon. And then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of women who have gone to these witches to get aid from like abusive husbands and things like that start popping up dead, and these girls believe that there is a serial killer involved taking out anyone who's ever been helped by witchcraft, basically. These girls are trying to solve the murder, also kind of save their lives. One girl wants to like bring her sister back from the dead, another girl wants to get vengeance for the people who massacred her family, and the third girl just like wants to be free of her demon. I really enjoy Crystal Sutherland's writing style. I think that her prose are quite beautiful. I also found all of the girls' storylines particularly well woven together. They all have their own goals, and then they come together, and it was just like kind of brilliantly orchestrated. Like I would have loved to see her behind the scenes plotting process of all of this out, because I was just like so engaged by how all of these girls were thrown together in situations that felt very organic but still moved their character arcs along. Craft wise, I really enjoyed that, and in general it was just fun. I thought the pacing was well done, and the characters were distinct enough for a three POV story. Like that's kind of hard to do. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And if you're looking for a good female rage take down the man book, this is it. So now let's switch over and talk about some life stuff that's happened in the month of November. Honestly, I have been writing so much that I feel like I didn't really get up to much else other than my writing retreat this month. I've been really into cozy coloring, but I only did 3 or 4 pages I think this month. I didn't watch a lot of TV, I didn't really do movies, but I did learn how to crochet, and that kind of took over all of my hobby time. I started out learning from like a little wooble. I made a little Frankenstein guy, and then I elevated up and I started making chickens, and that was super fun. And then I got a pattern for how to make a little goat, and I made like a little goat stuffy. Isn't it cute? This is my first one, and then I made this little black one too, which I think is just as adorable. Look at her little eyes. Like, shut up. They're so cute. My problem is I love hoarding cute things. I mean, as you know, if you've been watching me for a while, I have a problem with collecting cute things. So this is kind of a dangerous hobby, but I'm finding that I'm enjoying making the things more so than collecting them. So I just need to make them and then get rid of them. I feel like I need to start an Etsy shop, but I am not skilled enough to do so right now. So until that time, I just have all of these little like prototypes I'm making where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to keep them because they're, you know, they're so cute. And the only other thing that I have really been doing besides writing and crocheting is I got the My Sims bundle, the cozy bundle, where I've finally gotten to play My Sims and the My Sims Kingdom, which if you were around in like, I don't know what, 2007 or whatever when this came out. This was like the hot game. You had to play it on Wii. And I remember I've always been a simmer, so I loved playing The Sims. And I remember when My Sims came out, I was so jealous because I didn't have a console to play it on, and like all my friends would come to school like talking about their little like My Sims adventure, and I was just like, I couldn't play. But I am correcting my childhood trauma, and I am playing now, and I'm having a gay old time. I named my little main character Puck after Puckett, and the funny thing is I almost named myself Lindsay for obvious reasons, but there's a main character named Lindsay in the story, and it's so weird. I'm like, well, I'm glad I went with Puck. Anyway, so that's just been really fun. And other than just like turning into a goblin and living in my little hole and shoving my face full of Thanksgiving leftovers, that's been it really. That's been my November. So how did November go for you? I'm really curious because I know a lot of you guys were doing like a writing 50K in the month of November type challenge. So I want to know how your books are going, even if you didn't do that. Did you read anything good this month? Are you going to leave me any recommendations? Because I always need them. Do you guys have any toxic cozy hobbies? Oh my gosh, I almost didn't show you the little like bracelet that I have around her neck. It says Stay Odd from the Odds. Oh, I didn't even tell you their names. So this is Claudia, and this little girl doesn't have a name yet. So leave your old lady name suggestions down below because I think she could use one. Anyways, I think it rambled enough. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know all about your month down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.